City of Charleston State Accommodation Tax Advisory Committee meeting is now called to order. Let's just take a moment of silence. Amen. And I will turn it over to staff.
Okay. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Kathy Mercer. I am actually the retired budget director for the city, but I'm helping out with this process. And I'll get to the rest of the staff in a few minutes and also the committee members. But here's the agenda and what we hope to cover today. What we need to cover today.
Do I hear a motion for the minutes? Do I hear a motion for approval of the minutes from November 15th?
Well, can we wait? Let me get to that slide. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
So these are the committee members. Not everyone is here today, but I think Edward Condon, Ben is here. Jamie, are you here? Joe is here, but not Paul. And then Councilmember Gregory is here.
So we have a quorum. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Staff, Amy Wharton is here. She's the Chief Financial Officer. Cherry Ann Caton, who's our Grants Compliance Manager. Andrew Jones, who succeeded me as Director of Budget and Management, is here. Lisa Eisen, who succeeded me as the accountant for the Accommodations Tax Fund, is here. And then I'm Kathy for just this year. Maybe I'll be back next year. Who knows? Not planning on it, though. So the first thing we have to do is approve the minutes from the November 15th, 2022 Advisory Committee meeting.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes from the November 15th, 2022 meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Thanks, Ben. It's moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Back to you.
All right. Next, we have the minutes of the meeting from June where we reviewed the CVB spending plan.
Do I hear a motion? Going once.
I make a motion to accept the advisory plan from the CVB.
Do I hear a
I
second?
second it. I second it.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Okay,
Back
thank
to
you.
Mhm.
The first thing we're going to talk about is the revenue history and our projections for how we're doing so far in 2023 and what we think 2024 will bring us. As you can see, before the pandemic, our average was for 2019, the amount we got was about $7.7 million. It dropped drastically, as you would expect, in 2020. In 2021, it actually recovered better than we were expecting that quickly. And then in 2022, we hit our highest amount ever. So far for 2023, our budget is $12 million. So far to date, we've received $8.9 million. We've received the 3/4 of this revenue. The state sends us a check once a quarter. We get it quarterly. So we've still got one payment left that will be for 2023, but we won't get that until January of 2024. So we're working off projections right now. And we've seen a little bit of slowdown in some of the growth. It's about 5% lower than expected so far this year over the first 3 quarters. So we have projected that the budget that we will actually receive $10.9 million for 2023 instead of the $12 million we originally budgeted. That will cause some other adjustments in the budget, which we will go over in a few minutes. And for 2024, we're projecting the same amount. That is due to the uncertainty whether or not this is actually a slowdown, if it's just normalizing of the revenue after, say, maybe the post-pandemic boom for travel. People traveled more because they hadn't been able to travel for a couple of years. So we're not really sure how that revenue will come in and what we should do for next year. So we're just keeping it flat, hoping that that will be, keep us out of trouble. We won't be over projecting revenue. And if it needs to be adjusted when we amend 2024's budget, of course, we can always do that. So the next thing that I was just going to review very quickly, the Tourism Expenditure Review Committee, which we call TURC. We have to report to them, and they require certain information on their report that we send them every year. The new requirement over the past couple of years has been to do with how the CVB spends its money that we are required by law to give them. That's 30% of our revenue. So just reminding you that that is what those minutes from June were about, and it is a relatively new requirement. So that's why I was kind of reviewing it real quickly. And so we will have a meeting in the spring. So this will cause us to have 2 meetings a year going forward instead of the 1 meeting we used to be able to have. So now we're going to review and approve the 2023 amended budget. As you can see on this slide, we've adjusted the revenue to reflect that lower projection, and it includes a spending of some additional fund balance to make up for that decrease in revenue. The first 2 items under operating expenditures, the CVB, well, not the first 2, well, the CVB and the general fund are formulas that are calculated based on the percentage of revenue. So when the revenue goes down, those 2 amounts change. That's why we only had to spend $515,000 more in fund balance, because those numbers change. And so you'll see a couple of other adjustments here. The Dock Street Theater lighting was a little bit less than what we had expected. And I think really out of the big items, we added some more funding. No, that's it. Of those items, those are the only ones that change, the ones that are formulas and the Dock Street Theater lighting. Now my mouse has disappeared, so hold on a second. So this is the grants for 2023. There were no changes there. The amount that was recommended is what we paid out or will be paying out for 2023. And that gives us a balanced budget. So now we need to vote on 2023.
On the amendments, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's there.
Okay. Do I hear a motion with regard to the amended 2023 budget?
I move to accept the amended 2023 budget.
A second.
I shall second.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Back to you, Kathy.
Now we're going to go over 2024. The first thing I wanted to mention is that the state law has changed since last year. A new area of eligible spending is now included in the state law, so we can now use this revenue for affordable housing. You'll see the first paragraph there is what the law says we can spend. It's 15% of the annual accommodations tax revenue. This is a temporary provision in the law. It will expire at the end of December 2030. And below that's a definition of workforce housing. It is either sale or rent, and it's between 30% and 120% of the median income for the local area, adjusted by household size and all those other factors that are figured in when you're using the HUD guidelines. So if we take our projected revenue for 2024, 15% of that is $1,635,000. Additional sections contain additional requirements for using that revenue. There's a lot more in the state law. The most important one is being this first note here of the housing impact analysis that's required. So the local government has to provide this analysis. It includes specific requirements as outlined in the statute. It's quite lengthy, actually. And so at this time, the city's plan is to allocate funding for affordable housing from state accommodations tax, and various departments are analyzing and working to meet the requirements that are laid out in the state law. It's a pretty lengthy process, and there's also some requirements in the statute that apply to the state of South Carolina and what they must do over time for this affordable housing funding. So we have the proposed 2024 budget. This is the revenue amount and the required expenditures for the CVB and the general fund, the percentages that have to be allocated by law to those items. We also have the Dash Shuttle. We pay the CARTA the amount that they're losing by letting the Dash Shuttle be free. We also have some bond payments we make out of this money, out of this revenue, and some operating expenses for the visitor center, and also the Cultural Festivals Fund, which is Piccolo, Moja, Farmers Market, and some other activities that Cultural Affairs provides. So that totals $7,069,747 out of that amount of revenue. And then the workforce housing expenditures, the 15% max that we're allowed of that $10,900,000 worth of revenue is the $1,635,000 shown there. The next page is the arts grants and aid. These are the applications that we received and the committee has been reviewing. This slide shows the recommendations that went through the city through the mayor's office and total $2,233,750. So that leaves a balance available of $51,503 that can still be allocated if the advisory committee would like to go through these applications and discuss the various applicants and whether more funding should be allocated. So we've got that balance there of $51,503 that can be allocated. So
everyone has their worksheets, right? We did get
and I'm going to
worksheet.
share one too that we can look at.
Perfect. Okay.
So let me get. Okay. I got to end the slideshow. And now let me share another screen. Okay, can y'all see the worksheet?
Yes.
Okay, so I will be tracking changes if the committee wants to make any changes, and then at the end we can see where we are. So Councilmember Gregory, if you want to lead everyone through the discussion, and I'll try to keep track of the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
I've got a couple other people tracking it too.
Okay, we should just go one at a time. I mean, there what 40 something apps on here. What does the committee favor? You want to just go through them one at a time, starting with Afro?
I agree, one at a time.
Okay, let's start with Afro South. The request was for 35,000, and the staff recommendation is 10,000. Any discussion on that?
Yes, considering that the African American Museum has been open and an ability to possibly help promote it, I don't think it would be hurt to add an additional $5,000 to this category
Okay.
out of the the extra 51,000.
Yes, understand. And staff's rationale for bringing it down. I don't have that sheet in front of me, but there was a discussion. Let's see.
Well, if I may interject, the biggest reason that we reduced these below what was requested is because if you add up the total request, it was $4.3 million, and we don't have that much.
No,
So
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we can go one at a time, starting with the Afro South, and I don't have my cheat sheets in front of me because you did give the rationale for the changes, and I think those came out this week. Did everybody get a copy of that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Does staff have any an issue with it? Okay,
sorry. The staff had recommended that we just fund their out-of-town advertisement and promotions. If you look at their application, they asked $10,000 for that. And then they asked for some other items such as tent and chair rentals and travel and accommodations for their guest panelists, which we didn't feel was the best use of accommodations tax fund. So that's why we limited it to $10,000, is because that's what they said they needed for advertising and promotion.
This is their first time, isn't it?
Yes.
I did attend, I think their inaugural film, and it was pretty good. I don't have a problem with it unless someone else does.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only assumption is, do they have, I'm sure they could come up with a plan of where they're spending that, just to ensure they, they've got a plan behind the funding. I think, then it can make sense.
Well, I agree. I think it has to be directed towards advertising. I wasn't aware that the current advertising budget was for them was 10,000. So either they can increase it to 15 and keep the additional 5, or maybe just keep it back to 10, whatever.
Yeah, because it looks as though they wanted a lot of that for tents and chairs and the like. And they are, I thought they were partnering with the museum, if I read that correctly. But I don't have,
yeah,
I don't have a problem with taking them up from 10 to 5, as long as they're going to use it for advertisement.
Yeah, do you think, I mean, with this being their first request on it, do you think maybe we see how they, and then it could be if there's an additional need for next year when they come back, we can allocate more funding potentially?
So, someone's got a motion on the table and it's seconded. Let's vote, because we've got a whole bunch of them to go through. Do I hear a motion?
Well, are we going to approve them right now, or should we just see where we are at the end of the list?
Let's see where we are at the end of the list. Okay.
All right.
And
All
that
right.
one was 5,000, right?
All right, that sounds good.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Art forms and theater concept. That's at 20. They requested 45. And in talking to our Office of Cultural Affairs, the 20,000 is really what they can utilize, as opposed to turning money back in. And correct me if I'm wrong, Cultural Affairs.
That's correct, Councilmember Gregory. They did not present a spring show in 2023. They only presented one show in 2022. So based on their pattern of drawing, 20,000 seems adequate. That's been discussed internally, and I have every confidence with what they're reporting to the Arts Commission that is an appropriate level of underwriting for what their capacity currently is.
Okay. If there's no objection, let's go to Black Pages. Black Pages requested 35,000. They're at 10. They did receive 35,000 last year. And again, I don't have the staff rationale for the reduction. Kathy, can you sort of fill us in?
Yes, for Black Pages, we didn't feel like the rent that they have to pay to the IAAM is eligible for accommodations tax. So we recommended just funding out-of-town advertisement promotion and also some production cost for them, and excluding the rental.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. If not, let's move to the next one, which is the Jewish Center, right?
Yes.
Okay. They asked for 10. And we're giving them 7,500, right? That's the staff recommendation. 7,500. Any discussion on that? Yeah, any discussion on that?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Okay. Let's go to the next one, which is the Charleston Area Sports Commission. Any discussion on that? Okay. Let's move on to the next one. The Charleston Golf Incorporated. Any discussion on that? Okay.
No.
All right, let's keep moving. The next one is the Charleston Gospel Choir. This is a new applicant. And staff recommends 5,000. They requested 25,000.
I'm just curious as to why the 25,000 versus a little more.
Kathy?
Yes, they asked for $20,000 for maintenance and operation of a tourism-related building, which I believe is going to be rent. So we felt like the 10,000 that they asked for advertising and promotion. We weren't sure what their performance schedule would be for 2024, but we felt like since they didn't provide any details really for their advertising on page 7,
They didn't.
we do ask for details of that advertising.
Mhm.
That with the number of tourists that they were projecting, which was about 700, or 33% of their attendance, that 5,000 would be a more appropriate amount than the entire 10,000. That was our rationale.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on that one? Okay, let's go to the Horticulture Society. They asked for 4. We're giving them 3, recommending 3. Okay, let's keep moving. Charleston Jazz. Charleston Jazz asked for 170,000. They got 100,000 in 2023. And staff's recommending 75,000. Any discussion on that?
No.
Okay, let's move to the next page. Okay. We're at the Library Society, am I correct? And that
Yes.
they requested 45,000. Staff's recommending 12,500. Any discussion on that? The Charleston Museum, 1.25 million. Staff's recommending 200,000. Let's go to item 12 then. The Opera Theater, they're asking 25,000. Wow, and we're recommending 4,000. And previously we gave them 15,000. How do we get to 4?
Their application was missing some data, and some of it was not complete. So we felt like with the number of tourists they're bringing in, about 600 out of a total audience of 4,000, what they're expecting for next year. This year, they only brought in 280 tourists. That we felt like this was not, we wanted to support them, but we didn't feel like their dollar amount was justified by the amount of impact
Okay.
that they bring in, or that
right.
they have tracked so far.
Okay.
So that's why we lowered the recommendation.
Any discussion on this one? Let's go to item 13. The Parks Conservancy, they requested 10. Staff's recommending 7,500. Item 14, Charleston Stage, requested 170,000. They got 100,000 in the previous years, if I'm not mistaken, and we're recommending 75,000. Okay, let's go to 15. Item 15, can you go up a bit?
Yep, sorry.
That's all right. The Symphony Orchestra requested 250,000. We're giving them 200,000. Okay. No discussion. Let's go to Charleston Wine and Food. They requested 200,000, and we're giving them 120,000. Okay, let's keep moving. Because it's really important as we go through these, because I've gone through all the application. If you look at some of these budgets are pretty high. They're pretty good budgets. Closing the gap on healthcare from 100,000 requests to 60,000 requests. Now, the one thing I will say about this organization, they do put heads in beds. And people come from all around. They had a very, very successful jazz concert this year, sold out. Just a little info for you guys. I think we should try to get this one to at least 70,000 because they're really performing and performing well. If we can just pencil that in. Color of Music Festival from 75,000 to 35,000. They've got a hefty budget too, by the way. 800,000 and 900,000, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the papers before me. Any discussion on Color of Music Festival from 75 to 35,000? Okay. Columbia City Ballet. Now we went through this last year, didn't we, with them? But we did give them what, 10,000 last year? They're here for 20, and we say 0. Kathy, why did we say 0?
Well, their statistics, their visitors and web hits and web activity for their website that they reported, we couldn't tell for sure whether that was based off of, their local website in Columbia.
It was
How are they
Mhm.
tracking that?
Mhm.
We also think that they're maybe having just one performance here on
Mhm.
March the 8th at the
Mhm.
Charleston Music Hall. And
Mhm.
with the limited size of that venue, we thought that 10,000 was a bit much. They don't seem to be totally, to us, invested in providing activities in Charleston. So we
Okay.
just didn't think that this was the best use to give them the full amount of our money, to give them anything, actually.
Okay. Okay. Let's go to company. 15,000. Staff's recommending 7,500. The Cooper River Bridge Run. They requested 175. We're at 125.
Was that reduction based on the fewer funding available in total, or what? Do we have a consensus of why that was reduced?
Somewhat based on that, but also based on the way they filled out the application on page 4. They their funding request on page 4 total 680,000. So we couldn't really tell what the 175,000 that they were asking for, what they really were going to spend that on, because the breakdown doesn't match.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Not.
And they
Drayton
didn't
Hall
provide advertising information. Well, they
at
did
all.
provide some, but we just didn't think that their application was clear enough on what they were going to spend the money on to give them the
Okay.
whole amount.
Okay. Drayton Hall Preservation. 60,000. They requested 133,000. And I guess that 60,000 is the same percentage we gave in previous years. I'm not sure. Is there, and we gave them 85,000, what, last year? Mm-hmm. Any questions, discussions? Okay. The next one, item 23, engaging creative minds. They asked for 15. We're giving them 10. Footlight players. They asked for 84, and we're giving them 30. The Gibbs asked for 300, and we're recommending 225. Okay. The Hazley Institute, they're asking 40. Staff recommending 20. Healthy Lifestyle, asked for 30, and staff's recommending 5. I think that should be higher, but could you give me the rationale again for that reduction? Because I think they'd really do a good job. And any reduction is not going to be very good for their output. But can you give me the rationale for why we went from 12,000 to 5, really?
Yeah, I think it was mainly a reflection of just not having enough funds for as much, and that they were a lower impact on tourism than a lot of the other groups.
Mm-hmm. I think we should leave them where they are. I mean, as we move forward with Moja and everything else, and try to fold them in at some point.
So you want to go up? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think we should leave them where they are, 12,000. What we gave them last year. Yes.
Exactly, so 12, or just add 7,000.
Add 7,000.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. The next one, Historic Charleston Foundation. They wanted 150,000, and we said 15,000. Am I looking at this right? No. They asked for 170,000, right?
Yes.
And we're recommending 50,000.
50.
Okay.
And what was the thought on that one too? If it was, they got an ask of the same amount of what they asked for last year. Do we have some insight on that one?
They added 70,000 to the request. They requested 100,000 for advertising and promotion, and then they added 70,000 to that to repair the Nathaniel Russell House Museum, including like a passenger elevator and brick stabilization. We didn't feel like that was the best use of our funding, because that won't increase tourism as much as the advertising and promotion would, unless at some point, obviously it would have to be repaired, but I think that's something they should maybe have funding from other sources for. So, and then just our overall constraints on the amount of revenue we have to allocate.
Any other questions on that one? Holy City Arts and Lyric for 150,000 from 35,000. And we're recommending 15,000. What does that difference mean, though? That's a big jump.
They asked for 75,000 for that was an increase of for website design and maintenance, graphic and title design, videography and photography, editing of performance footage, creation of a media kit. we thought those were expenses that weren't the best use of our money. That's something that we felt wasn't as appropriate. They also didn't provide as many the list of performances. They provided a lot of 2023 information, but not so much for 2024.
Okay.
And their ad budget that they included only added up to 20. They asked for 100,000, 75,000 for advertising, but the budget, the planned advertising that they provided on page 10 only totaled 25,000.
Okay. All right. James Island Foundation, they asked for 4. We're saying 3. I think we should leave it at 4. And I mean, and the reason why I'm saying that is that it's very rarely that we're getting anything from James Island specific. And this is their first year. I'm not sure what it's for though. Again, fill us in.
They are asking for newspaper and magazine advertisements totaling $4,000. They did not provide but one magazine that they plan to advertise in for that entire $4,000, which we didn't really like. That they didn't have a more of a wide range of advertising instead of just putting it all in one place.
Are they a new applicant? Have they applied previously?
They have applied previously. They did not last year or this current year, 2023, but they have in the past. And I apologize, I don't remember.
Okay.
Then they did get a little bit of money from us before.
Okay, let's leave it at 3 then. The James Island Youth Soccer, $500,000 discussion, because I think I see 0.
You do see 0.
Yeah, discussion from the commissioners.
That one surprised me that they were asking for so much. I didn't really understand it.
Well, it looks like I think they were trying to get lighting essentially, so they could add programming and days to their tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So it really wasn't focused on advertising, but more of a capital.
That's how I read it. What, 12 poles or something that they wanted to put up for more lighting so that they can expand the use of the fields, and as a result, expanding the participation is what I got from it.
Yeah.
But it was just so different for me.
I mean, I know these draw a lot of attendance and out of town attendance, but yeah, for that, with the funds that are available and the request, it doesn't seem to. We're not going to put much of a dent in anything.
Well, not only that, who owns the land?
Yeah.
I mean, who owns the facility? I'm not sure. I mean, it just left some unanswered questions for me. And maybe it's something that we can discuss further down the line. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I think it does bring a lot of people to town, but I think the source of funding needs to be in another area for capital improvements. If they came to us for some type of advertising, I can understand, but not these capital improvements. So,
and especially as a capital improvement on land that we own, a park, a field that we own. Does anyone know the answer to that? Because if it is, there may be other sources of funding for capital improvement. And I couldn't get that from what I read in the application. Okay, hearing no more on that one, we're going to item 32. This is another new applicant. The Mace Brown Museum at the College of Charleston. They wanted 10,000. Staff's recommending 3. They're a new applicant. Okay.
I think you can, I mean, I wouldn't mind at least getting them a little bit, half of that, probably, if it was advertising based, maybe take it up to 5,000.
Okay.
I agree with that as well.
I do too. Okay. Preservation Society of Charleston. They wanted 10. We're saying 7,500. Okay. Pure Theater wanted 53,000, and we're saying 15,000. Don't we own that building where they are? I think so. Any discussion on Pure Theater's request and staff's recommendation? Okay, Redux. Redux wanted 10, staff's recommending 3. The Sophia Institute requested 48,000. I'm pretty familiar with them, and I think we should try to give them a little more money. And I don't know. The last time we gave them 15. If we can give them 10. The aquarium requested $250,000. We're giving them 225. The Historical Society wanted 10. We're giving 75. A new applicant, South Carolina Running Charitable Society, they wanted 20. Staff saying 4, I'm sorry. And what was the rationale for the 4 versus the 20?
Just that they're a new applicant, and we're limited on funds, and we just didn't feel like that the 20 was an appropriate amount for them based on their projected number of tourists.
Okay.
Of 1,500.
Okay.
And that they needed to expand their fundraising to other areas besides us.
Okay. Southeastern Wildlife. They requested 325. We're going to 247, 250. Any discussion on that?
What was the general thought on the reduction on that one?
Just the amount of revenue that was available to allocate to these applications.
I mean, I know they do bring in quite a few outside visitors.
Unbelievable. Yes, they do. Heads and beds.
Yeah. And I know we have a little bit remaining. We could kind of see what might be left over if we want to go back to it.
Okay.
Let's see.
So where are we now?
We have 27,500 approximately left at this point.
All right.
Put another 10,
and so okay, let's shoot for the 10 and see what happens.
Another 10 there. I'm sorry, you broke up. I couldn't quite hear you.
Yes, another 10 there. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Spoleto Festival wanted 415,000. We're at 272.5.
I'm curious, is anybody from Spoleto on this call?
Nope.
Did you want to know? I'm just curious what they were planning on. They were asking for almost more than 100,000 than they asked for last year, or that they received last year. And I was just wondering what their plans were with that money.
They state that they want to use that to pay the rental fees for the Gilliard Center and at Festival Hall.
And wasn't it also something to do with another organization or something? I don't have it with me. Let's see. They were using it to fund something else, the operation of something else, if I'm not mistaken.
I was curious maybe if it was going to go more to some more marketing.
I don't think it was.
Their request was $315,000 for marketing and $100,000 for fees for the use of the Gilliard Center from May to June, and year-round operational costs for Festival Hall. And
right.
we try to stay away from giving people money for rent of the facility.
Okay. All
Hello.
right. Yes.
Can anyone hear me?
And who is this?
Hi. This
And
is
who are
Anna
you?
Brooks from Spoleto Festival,
Hi,
Spoleto
Anna.
Festival USA. Hi, I'm sorry. My apologies. I was trying to unmute myself and I was having some issues.
Okay.
But I would be happy to speak to the increased ask of $100,000. We last year requested, I believe it was $350 or something, and we received $325, and we received $315,000. And that was to be used all for advertising and marketing. But this year we did decide to ask for an additional $100,000 because of our operation of Festival Hall, which in the last year we have had events outside of Spoleto year round coming into the space, which also brings tourism and beds and heads to Charleston. And then we also were hoping for support for our rental fees, you know, as we use the Gilliard throughout our 17-day festival. So that's what that increase was, because in our minds that also generates tourism in Charleston.
Okay. And that's understandable, but to do another 100,000 means that there's some other folks on this list that will get far less, and everybody's being reduced from what I can see.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we may need to stay at 272.5 at this point.
I guess I'm curious if, say we gave you another $20,000 for advertising. I mean, I guess we can't specify that it goes to advertising at this point, but would that make a huge difference, do you think?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to say no.
I mean,
costs are rising, and we're trying to increase our audience in external markets and bring more people to Charleston. So, absolutely.
I wouldn't mind giving Spoleto some more money for marketing, and
okay, what do we have? What do we have?
Yeah,
left?
I mean, it would be.
No, but we can. Can we find another 10? Do we have 10 left?
Yes. We have 17.5
okay.
left.
Let's throw another 10 up there. That's 282.5.
Okay.
All right. The Somerville
okay.
June. Okay. Somerville Juneteenth wanted 5,500 new applicant. The application was a little confusing to me. Where is this going to happen? For one. What was the rationale for 0?
Like you said, the application was pretty confusing. It wasn't real detailed. It didn't have a lot of information. We did a little research on them and found out that their web page was not created until the end of 2022. They talk about having, advertising in Facebook and that sort of thing, but they only have like 2 followers at the time that we checked. And those followers were people who work for the organization or related to the organization. And they didn't provide detail on the number of brochures that they wanted to print or how they were going to distribute them or where they were getting their mailing list, how they were developing their mailing list that they spoke of, and some other things like that. We just didn't feel like it was well thought out. We thought that it was more of a, you give us money and then we'll figure out what to do with it type of application. And we didn't feel real confident that we knew that what they wanted to spend it on was eligible.
Will we be able to let them know that? That's
We
why
send
the
out award and rejection letters. We can.
Okay.
We can.
This is a new app. Okay.
Yeah, we normally don't tell them precisely why, but if the committee wishes that we would do that, we can discuss that and perhaps add something to that letter.
I think the generalities is probably the best bet.
Yeah.
The Turkey Day run, they wanted 10, and we have recommended 4. Any discussion on that? If not, West Theater requested 16.5. Staff's recommending 7,500. Y'all Fest requested 17.5. We're at 12.5.
I'd give them 2 or 3 more thousand.
Okay, this is Y'all Fest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that would be another 2,000 for them. Okay.
Kathy, we can go back through, but after that 2,000, I've got that we have $503 left.
Okay.
Oh, I must have missed something because I have 5,000.
We'll compare when we go back through.
That's why you're there, Lisa.
Yeah, no.
All right, Gullah Roots, 0, right? If I'm not mistaken. We recommended nothing for them, right?
Right.
And the rationale was?
Well, first of all, they were late.
I saw that. Yes.
And I do not exactly remember. A lot of what they asked for would not be eligible. They asked for $13,000 to pay for hotel rooms for their speakers and entertainers. That's not exactly what the purpose of this funding is.
Mm-hmm.
And venue rentals. So they really only asked for $3,500 in advertising. And we thought that for the number of tourists they projected, which was 200 or less, that it wasn't a good use of our funds since we had limited funds this year.
Okay. Last but not least, the Post in Korea wanted 20,000. We recommended 0. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Also late.
Okay. All right. All right. This is the steeplechase stuff, right? So yes, I did see that. They were late. Okay, let's start at the top and see what we're going to do.
Lisa, do you want to run through what you've got so far?
Yes.
And let me check against what I put in and see if we messed up.
Okay. So we added 5,000 to Afro South.
Hang on just a minute. I want to just check the formula first. First thing to do is check the formula. That's where I'm off. It just fixed it.
Oh, it didn't go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that 5,000.
So you have that we added a total of 51,000. Yes.
Yes,
okay.
I do.
So we match.
So we have, yes.
So, okay. With 503 left.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's start at the top 10. Make sure we're all in agreement. Afro South, we're going to another 5,000.
Correct.
Okay, let's keep going. 10,000 to Closing the Gap.
Yes.
Keep going. 7,000 to the Historic Charleston Foundation. Was that no?
No.
That,
CaraFest, Healthy
yes,
Lifestyle.
CaraFest. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
2,000 to Mace Brown Museum.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. 5,000 to the Sophia Institute. Okay.
Yes.
10,000 to Spoleto. Thank God y'all were on the phone.
And
That was a
above
good-
that, we had
is
10,000 for wildlife.
Yes. Both are heads and beds. And then 2,000 for Y'all Fest.
Yes.
Okay. And that was it. Do I hear a motion in agreement for these recommended changes? Philip?
I make a motion that we approve the changes.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. So in order to balance the budget, since we have $503 left over, we will adjust the interest income amount downward by $503, which will bring the budget into balance because we're required to have we should have a balanced budget.
Okay. All right. All in favor say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Is there anything else that we need to discuss?
I got one more slide, I believe. Let me go back
Okay.
to sharing. Can y'all see the slides?
Yes. We can see the review and discussion of 2024 grant applications.
Yes, so we've done that.
Right.
Sorry, I'm having trouble. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
So the next, so we did this. So this is our other business. We just wanted to go over what the next steps in the budget process are regarding accommodations tax. So the 2024 budget process, this budget will go to council on December 5th to be approved with the as amended as y'all just approved. And then we will have an advisory committee meeting in the spring of 2024 to approve the CVB's planned expenditures for the fiscal year 2024, 2025. That's their fiscal year, which overlaps with ours. And then the 2025 budget process will begin in July of 2024. That's when the grant process will start, and applications normally are due, about 6 weeks after we put the application out there. So sometime maybe end of July, beginning of August. And then the advisory committee will have to meet in either October or November to approve the 2024 amended budget if we make changes to it during the year, and also approve the proposed budget for 2025. That's all I have.
Okay. Is there anything else to come before this committee? If not, this meeting's adjourned. Please have a happy, happy, happy and prosperous holiday season.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.